Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Betting Leaderboard. I'm your host, MMAce. We are here to recap UFC Atlantic City. Plenty to talk about, lots of weirdness. Once we review those, then we'll go over the handicappers' picks for the week, see how they did. Got a feeling there's going to be a little movement this week, but we'll see when we get there. And then, of course, we'll round it out by looking at the Betting Leaderboard's auto bet system. We were hitting it with the defibrillators last week, so hopefully this week will be a little better. It can't really be worse. Suspense is overrated. So let's get going. The opening fight was between Angel Pacheco and Laughran, also known as Baby Brock Lesnar in some parts. This was a good fight to open everything up. Both guys were very active. Pacheco was throwing shots and landing, but they were poking kind of shots and not much behind them. More quantity than quality. Laughran was keeping a high guard and hitting some big shots. Strong right hands, uppercuts. Angel got in some strong punches too, but he was just taking blasts all the time and wasn't having much movement defensively. He did seem to hit a little bit of a stride towards the end of the first round, hitting Laughran with plenty of straights and jabs. Left him bleeding from the nose going into round two. Both were landing big hard shots to start the second. Callan got on the back and was doing some pretty great ground and pound. In fact, like 15 unanswered shots to the head, and the ref didn't seem all that interested in even considering stopping it. Seemed odd. Both were getting in strikes to the body. Laughran ended up with about 3 minutes of ground control. If I remember correctly, with about 45 seconds to go, Angel landed some strikes that hurt him, but if he was going to take him out or something, he would have had to have a lot more time, done it a lot earlier. Unanimous decision, Callan Laughran, I think 30-27, 30-27, and 30-26. Baby Brock Lesnar for the win. The second fight of the night was between Andre Petroski and Jacob Malkoun. So we should really start keeping track of the ridiculousness. So we had the first fight where Laughran was on Angel's back and hit him 15 to 20 times unanswered, which where I came from was usually a stoppage, but the ref hadn't finished his word jumble yet, so no interest whatsoever. But that was just the appetizer. That was a 2 on a 10 scale. We're going to crank it up here in the second fight with Andre Petroski apparently taking himself out in a way that we're still not sure what the hell happened. People are saying hip bone to the head. I just think he jammed his neck, and sometimes when you do that right, it's just as much an off button as anything else. But yeah, so it started out slow. First 30 seconds, 45 seconds, there wasn't a strike thrown. Then very quickly, Malkoun wobbled Petroski, but single-digit IQ instructed him to not attack for some reason, so he didn't put any extra pressure on. Petroski was throwing some kicks. There's a lot of feeling out. Not the good kind like with your girlfriend back in high school, but that can hardly be expected. Malkoun was throwing jabs and straights down the center. He was controlling the center of the octagon. Petroski was landing some big shots. He had some good takedown defense. Got in a nice head kick and a takedown towards the end of the first. The second round was inexplicable. This is where Petroski went for the takedown, put his head right in the crease between the top of his leg and his abdomen, and whether he hit that hip bone or, like I think, it just looks like he jammed his neck and jarred himself into kind of a stunned 2 or 3 seconds. Wobbled and fell down on the ground. No one knew what the hell was going on. Malkoun gave one of the most wicked side kicks, just for good measure, to any of us mere mortals without a wall of muscle like Petroski. We would have been looking at 1 or 2 organs split wide open. Jacob Malkoun, TKO. Kind of like getting awarded the goal in hockey when someone else takes a shot and it happens to go off your skate and into the net. Malkoun wasn't sure how he won, but was happy to have won. The third fight between Gatto and Dudakova flat out didn't go. I wouldn't have been surprised if Gatto started making her walk out to the ring. That's how close to the time it was. And of course, we get no explanation other than medical. Least they could have done is had him do one round of pillow fighting backstage or something. It's not too much to ask, is it? So the third fight actually ended up being between Aslan and the only man that had tarnished his record with a loss, Anton Turkalj. This was a beauty. Big shots, big exchanges, knees, jabs, body kicks. Many points were just a punch fest. Aslan was winging a lot of his shots and hitting Turkalj's gloves a lot, but still packing a wallop. And we ended the round with a flying kick and some ground and pound. Into the second with more great action. Seemed like Aslan was definitely getting the better of it. A groin kick slowed the action for a sec. Continued big exchanges with Turkalj getting rocked. Aslan striking all levels, big leg kicks. Started gassing with about a minute left, but still managed to rock Turkalj right before the round ended. In the third, Aslan hit Turkalj with a huge right, knocked him down, dazed him, and got a ref stoppage. TKO Aslan in what very rightly became the fight of the night. 50,000 bonus for each. Next fight was between Connor Matthews and Dennis Buzukja. Connor Matthews looked good from the start. He was controlling the center of the octagon, showing off his smooth footwork, switching stances, pushing Buzukja up towards the cage. Buzukja was throwing big shots, but missing a little bit early, overswinging. Once he started finding his mark more often, he had big shots. He was finding his jab, throwing strong rights. Matthew was still striking, but not taking the strikes as well. Buzukja was landing more strikes, thumping on that calf. Matthews took the back of Buzukja off the clinch, but Buzukja was just too much. He was hitting with combos, big shots, and finally got the TKO in the third, earning him a Performance of the Night bonus, 50,000. Next fight up was between Julio Arce and Herbert, I'm not Gilbert, Burns. Herbert actually looked pretty good. I don't know if I'd seen him fight before. He's pretty dynamic. I mean, he's got good range with his kicks. He's got flying knees. He just seems clumsy the whole time he's doing it. His fight IQ seems to be 0. I don't know. He's a strange one. Arce wasn't doing much throwing at the beginning. He ended up getting the win, but I wasn't real impressed with him. He missed weight by a pound to start. He wasn't pressing the action. Once he started throwing, he was getting combos and lefts to the head, straights to the body. Herbert, however, did himself in with a point taken away with groin shots back to back. He was warned, and then a few seconds went by and did the exact same thing in the clinch, knees to the balls. And in the clinch from that range, that close, you have to make a conscious decision either to try to hit the abdomen with your knee or crank on the legs. If you just throw your knee, you're going to hit the groin. And that's what he did with reckless abandon and acted like he was being victimized by the point taken away. It was his own stupidity. He did hit Arce with Arce with a nice knee to the chin. Then apparently he got knocked down himself. I thought he just slipped or was trying to bait him into letting him pull guard or something. But Bisping said he heard the crack, so apparently he got hit on the chin and it was an actual knockdown. Either way, it wasn't too long. Arce had him up against the cage and just blistered him with 9-10 left hooks to the head in a row, getting the knockout. Women's strawweights Verna Jandiroba and Lupe Godinez were next up. Jandiroba was very active early with strikes. She had a takedown, but Lupe was back up immediately. Lupe seemed much stronger. Jandiroba was connecting a lot with jabs and straights, but they weren't really power shots. Eventually they added up and Lupe was a bit red-faced for sure. Loopy did have good takedown defense, but Jandiroba ended up on her back. Second round, there was action right from the start. They were swinging. Verna showed great takedown timing, but on the feet, light sparring at best was her power. They got on the ground and confoundingly pretzeled up their legs and stayed that way for the last minutes of the round. It was ridiculous. Who's winning these rounds? Towards the end of the fight, Jandiroba's jab seemed to be hitting more flush and with more strength, Jandiroba got on Loopy's back when she tried to stand up and didn't quite make it all the way. And the rest of the round was Jandiroba trying various rear naked chokes with no success. And the third was all Jandiroba's. It was just a matter of what the judges felt about the first couple rounds. And they gave it to Jandiroba, unanimous decision. This next one was excellent. Jamal Emmers, Nate Landwehr. First of all, I commend him on the no glove touch once the bell rang. Touch gloves before the fight if you want to. The instructions are to touch gloves and come out swinging. The bell rings, come out swinging. The other instruction is to protect yourself at all times. Touching gloves while the clock is running has nothing to do with either of those rules. And good God, this trend of hugging before fighting once the clock is already running is got me contemplating analyzing darts year-round if it keeps up like this. But I digress. This was action, no waiting. Emmers got a knockdown of Landwehr almost right off the bat. Smelled blood in the water. He was just swinging wildly, trying to finish the job off. Kicks to the body. Nate was just covering up. At one point, the strikes were 11-1. Emmers, I think 22-2 was the actual count. Strike after strike, fast elbows, big rights. He got him cut, and Landwehr was leaking nicely. Emmers continued to tag him, but Landwehr stayed in there and landed about 3 big shots and knocked Emmers clean out. WTF. Nate Landwehr, KO. And the last performance of the night winner. To kick off the main card, we had Rhys McKee taking on Chidi Njokuani. This one went the distance, and the most remarkable thing about it was the exposed mental illness of one of the judges, who scored the fight 29-28 for Rhys McKee, while the other 2 judges correctly scored every single round unanimously for Chidi Njokuani. As sad as it is to say, I think we maybe need panels of 7 judges or something.
You're crazy, man. You're crazy. I like you, but you're crazy.
So that 1 or 2 idiots can't make such an impact that they swing the fight results. If nothing else, it's harder to bribe 7 people than it is 3 or 1. The second story was Chidi. His leg kicks are still smooth as silk. He can launch them anywhere at any time. He's got elbows out of nowhere. He's really just a striking machine when he's on. Rhys got in some shots and made it the whole way, but Njokuani doubled the strikes, doubled the significant strikes. They should have frog marched that third judge into the middle of the ring and gave him a pink slip. Chidi Njokuani split decision. Wow. Listen to that S. Dennis better fill that gap for me quick. Did I say that out loud? I wasn't going to bring this up because I don't want to risk the nightmares starting again. But I couldn't help notice that it looked like at one point Chidi knocked Rhys's face into ring face mode. Is there anything to worry about? Are VHS tapes still a thing? This next one was another one of the quick ones. Kyle Nelson versus Bill Algeo. It was competitive for a while. I can't help myself. Does anybody know Bill Algeo's middle name? I pray to God it's something with an I. Can he be Bill Ian Algeo? Maybe Bill Ichabod Algeo? I just want him to be B.I.L.G.O. 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 And Bill Joe was his name, oh. Please no one unsubscribe. I really cherish all of you. Not enough to not sing at you, apparently, but still, much cherishing. As I began at some point long ago, LGO was looking good. He was getting swift kicks in. He's pretty fast with the strikes. He was also dodging Nelson, but it didn't take too long for Nelson to zone in. He got an early knockdown. Then they went back and forth for a little bit before Nelson just caught LGO, put him on stilts, hit him a couple more times while he was Tony Ferguson and around the ring, and the ref came in and stopped it. People thought it was an early stoppage. LGO protested immediately. He was still on his feet. Do I want to say that they said he hadn't been knocked out before? So sometimes you got to take some different things into account, maybe give him a little bit longer. But he was at the point that if you did let it go longer and something went wrong, they'd be telling you, why didn't you stop it? Look at him. So I don't fault the stoppage. He was going down quick, it seemed, and they're in there to protect the guys at that point. Although they voluntarily signed a contract, so what the hell? The next bout pitted Nursultan Ruziboev against Cedric
Dumbass.
Dumas.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't want to get his name wrong. He's such a gem of society. Cedric convict, more like it. Don't tell him I said that. This fight instantly becomes the robbery that we care the least about, but it was a robbery. Don't get me wrong, I think Ruziboev was ahead, but an eye poke combined with a shitty referee shouldn't be the end of a fight. Far be it from me to stick up for this creep, but usually if a fighter motions that his eye was poked, things will pause for like 2 seconds to see what the ref says. Is he going to stop it, or is he going to tell him to keep on fighting? That doesn't mean you should stop protecting yourself, but we know how things go, and that's how it usually goes. A lot of times they get all the way to the replay of it before they realize that there was no foul. But here, the ref was out of position. You could see that the fighter was claiming to have his eye been poked. Ruziboev doesn't wait for anything. He just sees a person in a compromised position and attacks. So he goes over swinging on him. The ref just lets it go at that point, and Dumas turtles up. It's quickly called. I thought Ruziboev acted in a less than optimal manner. It was not quite a cheap shot, but yeah, it was a cheap shot. Can I have it both ways? TKO Ruziboev. If you didn't think it was possible to have more eye poke fun than we just had, you thought wrong, buddy. Because we're stepping it up. We're going to combine eye pokes with our aforementioned ridiculousness to provide the fans with a featured bout that was one of the biggest farces that we've seen yet. Again, not that Chris Weidman wasn't perhaps winning the fight. That doesn't matter. You don't get to end the fight on bullshit because you never know what happens. People knock people out with 1 second to go in the round. People get 10-8 rounds. Maybe it's a 10-8 round with a point taken off. Who the hell knows? But we don't know because we weren't allowed to know because fouls fucked it up. I think the first one came at the end of the second round, and okay, that's one eye poke. Shit happens. And luckily he gets a minute to recover, so hopefully no harm, no foul. Barely into the third, Weidman pokes him again in the eye. This time the idiot ref tells Silva not to worry about it. It was even because he got Weidman in the eye as well. Well, he did, with his thumb in a fist with the punch that he threw, which is a different story than having your fingers forward like you're not supposed to and poking someone in the eye. Not to mention the fact that this was foul number 2 for Weidman. Neither one had been a punch. But the ref was a can't we all just get along, dude, and so on we went. Eye pokes 3 and 4 came on the exact same exchange. He got him in the right eye with his left hand and then got him in the left eye with his right hand. Then he had the fucking nerve after the fight to give some advice to Silva about when he gets eye poked not to drop to the ground. Well, when you've been poked in both eyes and one of them for the third time, you sometimes drop to the ground because you can't see and you fucking are safer down there. I can't stand power slap, but I think it's got a great use as punishment for idiots. take that ref and take Weidman. They go there, and whoever the champion is gets a free shot on both of them. Doesn't solve anything, but make us happier. Or me. TKO, 4 eye pokes. Weidman. That just has to be it with the ridiculousness. I can't imagine any more. This next one was ridiculous and pathetic. I'm seeing too many guys lately just fighting for a paycheck, doing what they think is necessary. If they're overmatched, just laying down and dying. This is example prime. It was back and forth for a while. Luque managed to get through the first round. Buckley was just stronger, longer, and getting the better of Luque just about every turn. Luque got him against the cage and took him down, but didn't do much with it, and Buckley had a different idea of what you do against the cage with the flying knee. And then Luque got hurt, fell to the ground, and just sat and waited for the ref to call it. Literally put his gloves up by the side of his head and waited and waited. It was quite the sight to see. A co-main event debacle. UFC tweeted that Buckley was on the radar now, that he beat Luque. Beating a turtling Luque does not put anyone on the radar, and luckily for Buckley, he was already on the radar. Anyway, try to spin this into some impressive win. One guy gave up. Buckley TKO, pussing out. Okay, that's enough of the women's headlining fights for a while, if you don't mind. Both these ladies are lovely. They fought hard. It was exciting. But there was zero chance of a knockout, and after the first 3 minutes, we realized Blanchfield couldn't do anything to get close to Fiorot in a way that she could try to work a takedown or do anything that resembles her game. She did get one shot at a submission because Fiorot, for whatever reason, decided to take Blanchfield down. It was beautiful. She picked her right up and threw her like she was a rag doll, which was consistent throughout the 5 rounds. But in this instance, she opened herself up for a guillotine choke, which Blanchfield locked up nicely, and Fiorot didn't seem to be in trouble, but it was locked up tight. I thought she'd be tapping, but no. That was early on, and that was Blanchfield's last best hope. She has decent offensive stand-up, usually, but she couldn't crack Manon. She had one strategy, try to barrel in and get close, and Fiorot waited for it every time, counter-righted her right in the face, and rinse repeat. You've seen the rest of the fight. Blanchfield had no answer, and for 5 rounds tried really nothing different. So she's got some holes in her game or has some bad matchup weaknesses. I know it's her first loss, so the world's not over, and she's very young. And I like her a lot, but maybe take the gas off the championship train for just a second. But she'll be back around, right up there in the hunt. Fiorot, great. She definitely seems to be handling people and on the rise. Undefeated still, 7-0. So we'll have to see what she can do. I don't know if she'll wait out the Grasso-Shevchenko fight, or she'll sneak something else in the meantime while they do their Ultimate Fighter. Either way, I look forward to seeing her again. Well, that'll wrap up the fights. Can't say they weren't interesting, but my God. Can we get some gloves to work on the eye pokes? Can we have a meeting with some of the guys 30 and above and talk about motivation? And can we get some regional refs that don't have their heads completely up their ass? Simple requests. Okay, let's get to the good stuff. Remind ourselves what our handicappers' picks were, and then see what it does to their overall totals, including whether we need to make a position change or more. This is exciting stuff, folks. We'll cap it off by checking in with B.L.A.B.S and its picks. Got my fingers and my toes crossed, but let's get to it. right, we've refreshed our memories on who the guys got. We saw the results. Now let's see how it affects the overall totals and the positions on the leaderboard. Per usual, we start in 5th place and work our way up. So we'll take a look at MMA Experts, run by AJ, a fine fellow, and the hot hand of the week for sure. AJ went 10-3, picking off 2 big dogs that no one else went for. It's like a pick 6 in football, man. Big change, big quick. So the 10-3 record for the week moved his overall record to 80-52, which we'll see puts him in a 3-way tie for the second best record. That's a 61% winning percentage. He added a tremendous $521.23 to his previous total, bringing him to minus $655.20, and a move to second place, causing a landslide of Guru, We Want Picks, and Sherdog all bumped down a spot. Nice job. Next up is Benjamin over at Sherdog in 4th place. Ben provides great content. He and Keith put on the best preview show around. They'll spend 2 to 3 hours going through each fight, analyzing the history of each fighter, and they present things in a very fun, unique way, especially like watch their recap show after the fights. They have lots of interesting little segments, so check them out if you don't already. Ben was the only one to snipe out Jandiroba's win. Nice work there. So he went 7-6 for the week, brings his overall record to 78-54, a 59% winning percentage. He lost $40.98 on the week to bring his new total to a minus $1,115.41. Looks rough, but look at AJ. He halved his in 1 week, so we are still in the early segments. Angelo at We Want Picks is currently in 3rd place. He'll be heading to 4th place, unfortunately. I love watching his show. He provides lots of information. Their site in general offers all kinds of things, especially if you become a premium member. You get tools out the wazoo. And Angelo's pretty funny. He's got dry, sarcastic, self-deprecating humor that I find very intriguing. Anyway, he went 7-6 on the week, bringing his overall record to that 80-52 3-way tie for second, record-wise anyways. 61% winning percentage. He dropped $117 more and 49 cents to bring his new total to a minus $715.14. MMA-Guru's been in 2nd place for a while. He's going to be shifting down to 3rd to make room for MMA Experts. Gotta love Guru's channel. He's got it rocking and rolling. Very unique. Puts out the widest variety of videos. No matter what comes up, he's on it and putting out some tape. So, got to admire that. He brought up the rear this week, though, going 6-7, bringing his overall record to 80-52. The other member of that 3-way tie. 61% winning percentage. Dropped $409.98 to bring his new total to a negative $706.02. The last of our guys is Brady over at DFS by the Numbers, sitting in 1st place. His usual. His channel's great. Great breakdowns, great info, and consistently the best picks of our 5 guys. Things will change, and I can't repeat too much that it's early, but this gentleman is on a fine run. He had the 2nd best record for the week at 8-5, brings his overall record to 84-48, still well in the lead, a 64% winning percentage. He added $39.26 to his previous total for a new total of $254.62. He remains our only player in positive territory. The other great thing about him and Angelo over at We Want Picks is that they are avid bettors. They let you know what they are betting and let you know the results of what they bet. Can't ask for more than that. One thing left to do. We got to check in with the betting leaderboard's auto bet system. Could be time to pull the plug and start all over. Let's see what happened this week first. The system gave us Aslan because 4 of the 5 guys picked him. 4 of 5 is a half bet, $50, and we won $40, so it returned $90. Alan Matthews was an underdog that was liked by 3 out of the 5 guys, so in that situation we make a full bet, and it lost. Goodbye, $100. 2 more bets to go, and by golly, they're good ones. Njokuani, all 5 guys liked him. That's a full bet of $100, and that was a winner. Extra $70.42. And last but certainly not least, Manon Fiorot. 3 out of the 5 guys liked her as a dog. And because she was fighting in the main event, we increased the bet to 1.5 units, which netted us a profit of $231. So we had 4 bets total. We went 3-1, bringing our overall record to 8-11. That's a paltry 42% winning percentage, but we are up 9 points from last week, so I ain't yelling. We added $241.42 to our previous total to bring ourselves to a minus $197.10. This was definitely a resurgent week for B.L.A.B.S. We'll see if it keeps up or if it's going to break our heart again. I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised moving forward, but there's only one way to find out. I'm going to get working on that preview picks video for next weekend. Hopefully out later tonight, but probably tomorrow morning, unfortunately. And then we're going to gear up to be all over UFC 300. Hope you enjoyed the fights, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the breakdown. The race between our 5 guys is getting pretty interesting, so if you like what you see and find it unique, tell a friend. Leave a comment. At least hit that like button. Thanks, everybody. Till next time.